Let's get started then. Okay, welcome everyone to our 11th TAN Council recurring meeting. Today's meeting will discuss Knoppesim's TAN IP entitled Proposal for Redistributing Undistributed TAN IP1 Rewards. And then we'll have some Q&A, and it looks like we'll be discussing some TAN IP1 data as well. Firstly, however, let's start with an overview of the TAN Council and the purpose of these recurring meetings. These recurring meetings serve 5 critical functions. They provide transparency to our community. They create a structured forum for proposal discussions, enabling authors to present to the council and community, and to discuss, debate, and refine for formal proposal and voting with consensus. They enable regular platform updates. They ensure consistent communication amongst council members. And finally, they allow direct community engagement through question and answer sessions. The TAN Council is a local governance organisation within the Telcoin platform. Together, we serve as a provider and administrator of collective goods and services within the jurisdictional domain of the Telcoin Application Network, or TAN. The TAN Council, with our 6 members, makes decisions related to TAN improvements and policies through the TAN IP process. We need 5 out of 6 votes to approve proposals within a 120-hour voting period. Our primary duties are to firstly allocate TEL issuance on TAN for stakers and developers to harvest, and secondly, plan and finance the development of the Telcoin application network. Our key responsibilities include reviewing and voting on snapshot proposals, attending these bi-weekly meetings, providing regular community updates, monitoring TAN systems, and enforcing operational rules. We use Discord for day-to-day communication, the forum for informal proposal discussions, these recurring council meetings for proposal discussions, deliberation and refinement, and Snapshot for formal voting. Overall, the TAN Council has authority over miner harvesting and planning and financing TAN infrastructure. So, before we get properly started, I'd like to answer one question from the last meeting. Andrew Pinch of the Telex Council asked, what happens with TAN IP issuance for stakers who stake via other application developers' apps? So the answer to this is that it's not actually been developed yet, but it is on the TAO's radar. Marcus will likely be getting on how exactly it can be implemented soon, and it will come up as a TAN IP before going live. It will be an exciting moment of scaling the Telcoin application network, and well done, Andrew, for asking such a great question. Lovely. So on to the latest TAN IP. Knoppesim wrote a proposal around distributing undistributed TAN IP rewards this week. As you may or may not know, TAN IP1 introduced issuance of TEL tokens at the application layer. Basically, users are rewarded from a pool of 3.2 million TEL per week, based on their share of trading fees paid that week, them and their referred users. The amount of TEL tokens they earn is also capped at the minimum amount of TEL they have staked in the Telcoin app that week. And that's actually going to be changed soon based on another TAN IP, which was brought forward by Ari, which will move that to a average over the week, a time-weighted average, instead of the minimum. And basically this cap gives rise to an undistributed amount of TEL, which remains in the TAN Council safe. So just a bit of background there for you, and hopefully we're all on the same page. And Knoppesim, maybe you want to take us through your proposal in a bit more detail, and then we can all discuss.
Thank you. I don't know if you want to read it again and just to discuss it. Because
if you can, up to you. You can read through it or just give us the kind of overview. Completely up to you, whatever you decide you want to do.
I don't know.
Okay.
We're gonna read it. I think it's better if you read it or anyone who is a native English speaker. After that,
Um,
we can discuss it. But
okay,
apart
sure.
from the two who are strongly opposed, I haven't received any feedback, whether positive or negative, about this proposition.
Mhm.
But in my opinion, I am convinced that the unclaimed rewards will keep getting smaller and smaller. So this proposal is really just about redistributing dust. And my reasoning was, if we are going to distribute dust, we might as well give it to fewer people, so that in a way it becomes more meaningful.
Mhm. Okay. Should we? I'm happy to read through it. I've got it here. If I read through, and then it will make sure everyone's on the same page, and then we can go from there and have some proper discussion instead of leaving people behind. Does that sound good to you?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay. I'll rattle through this then. So the abstract goes: this proposal aims to optimize the allocation of rewards issued during TAN IP1. We observed that a proportion of these rewards remained undistributed because some users did not have enough TEL staked in the application. Although Ari's TAN IP may encourage more staking and reduce this reward evaporation, there remains uncertainty. Therefore, this proposal recommends redistributing the undistributed rewards to the top 3 fee stakers according to a proportional split to further stimulate user engagement and trading activity on the app. So the rationale, optimizing reward distribution. Since part of the TAN IP1 rewards were not distributed due to insufficient staking, reallocating them ensures better usage for the benefit of the community. Encouraging activity and volume. Rewarding the largest fee generators will incentivize greater activity on the app and stimulate trading volumes, thereby strengthening the ecosystem. Fairness among users. Some users have benefited from large rewards due to the activities of their referees, even with little personal trading activity. This redistribution would ensure that the most active traders are also fairly rewarded, even if they have no referees. Proposed incentive details, so redistribution scope, 50% of undistributed rewards allocated to the highest fee staker, 30% of allocated to the second highest fee staker, 20% allocated to the third highest fee staker. Eligibility criteria. Rankings will be based on fees generated during the TAN IP1 period. Only direct trading activity will be considered, excluding activities from referees. Program duration. A one-time redistribution covering only the undistributed rewards from TAN IP1. Okay. Implementation. The TAL will find a suitable way for writing and implementing the smart contract or appropriate backend code that automates the distribution of the undistributed TAN IP1 rewards based on the final validated ranking of fee stakers. Financial resource and budget objective to use exclusively the undistributed rewards from TAN IP1 without requiring additional funding. Cost breakdown, no additional costs beyond the already allocated rewards. Next steps, obtain formal approval from TAN Council members, identify and validate the top 3 fee stakers, implement the reward distribution mechanism through proper developer intervention, proceed with the reward distribution according to the proposed plan. So, hopefully everyone's up to speed on that. To summarize some of the comments we had, there was a bit of pushback on rewarding the top 3. Some people saying that the top 3 have already received the most benefit, and this wouldn't actually encourage competition. What else do we have? I think the counter to that is that this top 3 is not necessarily the top 3 that get the most rewards, because this is the top 3 individual traders, it doesn't take into account people's referees. So it's kind of a similar parallel quote unquote competition. I think is the idea. Is that right, Knopasim?
Yeah, exactly. But just
Okay.
according to the last distribution, only 30,000 tel
Mhm.
weren't distributed. So according to me, it's a really small amount, and
Yeah.
hopefully it will get lower and lower. So I don't see the point to redistribute all these rewards to everyone. And I had to come up with a proposal to distribute these rewards. So this idea
Mhm.
came to me, but if someone has a better one, most optimal solution. So just, what do you think about that?
I think you're right to point out that we expect the kind of difference, i.e., the undistributed rewards, to decrease week over week, which almost from like a bit of a brutal standpoint, I guess, suggests that this might be a lot of work to go to for something that could potentially be quite short-lived. It's just my first kind of thought, because we'll have to modify or adjust the script, and then there might even be some smart contract work that would be required. And in terms of lift or reward, it doesn't seem like a very good trade-off. It's my personal thinking. But I'd love to hear what the audience think, and I'd love to hear what the other council members think as well.
Yeah, my take on it is I think it's a bad take to say that the top 3 are already getting rewarded enough. I think that's they're getting rewarded the same as everybody else based off of their output. Um, and I think that's the only fair assessment to make off of that. Like they're putting in the work and securing the network and blah blah blah. So they're getting more, they're being more rewarded off of that. I think it's a bad way to look at it. Um, however, I do think that I see all sides from this. I mean, I can understand everybody's perspective on this. Um, and I feel like this is such a subjective, you know, policy to make because
Yeah.
everybody's going to have a different opinion on this. Do we give to the top 3? Well, they've worked the hardest and obviously on their trades and whatnot. So do they deserve it? Well, I mean, there's an argument for both ways.
Yeah.
But I don't know that. And my just looking at it from the outside in and taking everybody's perspective, it's almost like this is where I'm just like, maybe we just do a lottery. Maybe we do a lottery, just pull up for grabs. I don't know, just to make things interesting. I mean, because of the top 3 really going to care. I mean, they're obviously we know that they're bringing in a lot, and as this goes lower and lower, it's going to be less appreciative by them. Like, okay, this is going to be some chump change to them at some point, but it could be to the lower guy who might be the winner of the lottery. They might be like, this might be a a great week for him. I don't know. It just might. I don't know. I definitely think that we need to. I don't know. Even maybe make a poll and see how everybody thinks about this before we lock in an answer.
Yeah. I think it'd be worth kind of going back to basics in a way and thinking about the TAN IP1 mechanism and why it's designed the way it is and what we're actually trying to kind of build for. And I think the kind of referring system that really kind of promotes building a network, and that's something we want to we really want to focus on and like expand the user base essentially. And then with the staking caps, we are basically trying to make sure that the user base is aligned with Telcoin, i.e., they have a stake in it. And then, in a way, for us to start distributing rewards, which are kind of outside of the cap kind of thing, we could potentially be rewarding people who actually have very little stake in the system, which I'm not sure is a way we kind of want to go necessarily. And then maybe we fall back on the idea that it's not a large amount of TEL that we will be giving out. But I was even thinking in terms of like just trying to grow the network, could we distribute it to, for example, or could we distribute it across wallets that haven't traded in previous weeks, or it's their first week staking kind of thing? So a new Telcoin user and a new Telcoin staker on their first week has the chance or will be rewarded proportionally to their trading activity, and they get that little extra kind of starting bonus in a sense.
The only pushback I would have on that is like for me, I don't really trade. I'm basically holding. So like when I hear that, I'm just like, okay, then I'm gonna go in there and I'm just gonna trade from USDC back to TEL a few times just in hopes that I win this. Are
Yeah.
people gonna take advantage of that?
Yeah, I guess they could, but in a way, if
It's
they're
still doing
new
their job.
users,
Learn it.
if they're new users, it could be a good thing. Get them used to using the platform. And also, yeah, sorry, just to Brosie's point, this is the stakers section of TAN IP1 issuance, and there will be a developers section which is separate. So later on, there'll be basically the way stakers are currently competing against each other to earn this issuance. There'll be a similar a mechanism for application developers. So while an application developer could have a Telcoin wallet and participate as a staker, this staking side of things is more likely to remain to individual stakers, if that answers your question. Lovely. Yeah, sorry, Liberty, I feel I kind of cut you off a bit there, but
No, I
wanted
don't.
to
I
get
don't
that
think
one out of the
you
way.
did. I was
Okay.
just basically saying, if we just like implement a program and say, hey, if you're new to the stake and reward program, if you haven't staked yet, or if you haven't traded in X amount of weeks or something like that,
Yeah.
assuming that this is going to be how that's implemented, you're eligible. If you haven't traded in X amount of weeks, you're eligible for this pool of undistributed rewards. A guy like me who doesn't trade often just because I'm holding TEL,
Mhm.
I'm going to go in and I'm going to be like, all right, I'm just going to trade from USDC back to Telcoin to see if I can get an extra 100,000, 150,000 Telcoin, and win that. And then, the larger holders are just going to maybe take advantage of that type of situation.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it would be a one-off, so it would truly just be your first time staking.
Oh, gotcha.
And we
Okay.
just kept a log. We kept a log of every wallet that has staked in the past, which unfortunately would mean probably the people on this call wouldn't be eligible.
Right.
But
But it would
I think
incentivize
it
new
could
stakers.
it would incentivize new stakers kind of thing, yeah.
Right. That would make a lot
But
more sense. Yeah.
okay, yeah. But that was just kind of a little fun thought experiment, counter idea type thing. Realistically, overall, I was thinking we are in this spot now where we actually have essentially a backlog of IPs to be implemented, i.e. ARIs, and we don't really know how that's going to change things as well. So once we implement ARIs, it might turn out that we don't have really any material leftovers. And apart from that, we don't really have the capacity at the moment with all eyes on Telcoin network to implement this. So I kind of feel like in any sense, we shouldn't be in a rush to dive into how we're going to redistribute these excess TEL tokens. I think we've got time, and I think it's worth kind of thinking about this more before we, if we end up in a position where we come up with something we like and we vote, but then it's not going to happen for 8 weeks' time or whatever. We're kind of stuck with something that we might then not want to do in 8 weeks' time. It's the space moves quickly. So from a practical level, that's kind of what I was thinking. But happy to hear other people's thoughts as well.
What we got from the audience? Boo, Andrew, Squirtle, Rosie, Matthew, Dave, Blue Lights. Come on, guys.
Come up and talk as well. It's quicker. Don't be afraid. Just because we're on X now. All good.
Anyway, I see in the chat that many people are motivated by the idea of a mega lottery, winner takes all, with 1 entry tickets per week. So that's not a bad idea. So why not? Go for it, friends. Write up a proposal, then we will talk about it in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth exploring and just kind of getting a general consensus. I definitely understand, and I think the whole idea of, the pushback that you got, I don't think was warranted in the fact that like the top 3 are already getting rewarded enough. Like, well, they're getting rewarded evenly, just like everybody else is, based off their output. Like, that's a terrible way to look at it, in my opinion. So I do think incentivizing, the top players who are putting in more output, it to me that also makes sense too. I'm kind of indifferent on this entire distribution.
Liberty. For now, those who have the most rewards are the ones whose referees are the more active players. So it's essentially passive income for people who've got a lot of referees. And if they are the godfather in a word, they have a passive income thanks to the referees. And so those who trade should be rewarded with the dust, in my opinion. That's why I think my proposal.
The people with the referees, the people who are getting big fees by the referees likely have they've referred a lot of people and they've really grown the network. So that is kind of the definition of fair in a sense. They've brought more people on board. I think that's a good kind of relationship we have. But it does come from a very different angle, I guess. The only issue I can think with lottery is like if there's some kind of compliance or legal aspect that makes it a bit iffy. Also, potentially like an optics thing for the association. It might be a bit kind of too close to gambling, even though the irony is not wasted on me given the space we're in. But yeah, that's kind of, that might be a source of pushback as well.
Maybe we get back to our
Yeah.
roots, Leo.
Mhm.
I said maybe we could just get back to our roots.
What, the lottery?
Make crypto gambling again.
Ideal. Yeah, let's just find new ways of gambling. Perfect. That's what we're all here for. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah. Let's, if we're happy to kind of take that forward, then we can look at options with lottery and or stake and potential reward, as it's more formally known as, perhaps. And we can come back and discuss it in 2 weeks' time. As I say, I don't think we're in a rush to implement anything at this point. And if people are happy with that, I am.
Yeah, I think we should maybe go out and make a couple polls on, I don't know if we can do that on Discord. I don't think I've ever seen that on Discord, but maybe on like Twitter or X or whatever. And
There are polls on Discord. Yeah, we can sort that
okay,
out.
maybe we could just
Yeah.
do a few polls and see where people's opinions are at, and then go from there. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that sounds reasonable. Yeah, I think our jobs as council members are to figure out what the community wants and work to that. So sounds good to
Yeah.
me. Yeah. Let's see what Dave has to say quickly, and then if there are any other questions from anyone about this or about anything else, please do ask. I think there was one from Squirtle quickly, actually. And Telcoin creates their white label product for MNOs. Would they also have the trade reward feature, or would it be locked behind MNO nodes? So different set of rewards for them. I think the MNOs will be implementing very similar. The idea is they kind of almost follow the Telcoin wallet blueprint, and then rewards from the TA are distributed based on their kind of competitive earnings. So it would all be the same set of rewards, just distributed by bakers, as is currently happening, and then also application developers as a kind of separate competitive landscape. That answers your question, Squirtle. Nice. And Dave says Telcoin giveaway on X. Like, share, and follow Telcoin. Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. Personally, I worry about optics a bit with that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've done a few
I don't know what
giveaways.
impression we're given, but yeah.
Yeah, I've done a few giveaways on like for like the Telcoin shop one, and it's you get a lot of bad actors on that on X.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine.
Yeah, and I've done give like $500,000 or 500,000 not dollars, but 500,000 Telcoin giveaways, and some of
Jeez, I
them,
was gonna say, get me
yeah, no,
involved. 'Cause,
but some of them have, have uh, some of them have, have uh, some of them have, 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 some Yeah, it gets grimy like that.
Yeah. Brosie's question, I do have a question. For individual trader fees, how prevalent is it that trading fees generated are less than the amount earned in rewards? Meaning someone actually is net positive on dollars due to trading fees less than rewards earned. I think that has been happening a bit recently. I think it was mentioned 4 weeks ago or so, and Andrew probably has a better idea of those. Yeah, it does happen, but I think it's happening less, and I think that just implies that 3.2 might be a bit high for the current user base or whatever, but I think that's likely to change, and I think it's kind of in the process of changing. Okay, yeah. So it's still happening fairly recently. It's still fairly common, but I feel like we're headed in the right direction. Is that, yeah. Andrew, did you say you were able to come up and run us through this data you've got?
For this week is about 1.5 what you traded, you and your referees.
So you earn 1.5 times Intel what you traded. Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah, a bit more. Just a little bit.
Okay. Geez, so yeah, get out there and trade. Tell your friends to get out there and trade by the sounds of things. Andrew's a bit busy. I'm happy to run through his data points quickly, just to give a bit more background. So period 8, which was this week just gone, there were 11,733,153 TEL, I assume, in fees for referees. And then for stakers, there was 6 million. So 67% of fees generated came from referees, while 32%, 33% came from stakers. So what's that? Probably on average, you've got one staker to 2 referees. I think. Can you say that? Maybe. Oh, so this is period 0 to 8, so cumulatively. Yeah. So yeah, about 17 million TEL in total fees generated. For rewards, so 26.4 million TEL worth of rewards have been distributed, and 2.4 mil have been missed. So basically, that 2.4 mil would be what we're considering redistributing here. Wallets 814, weekly average 304, and weekly average wallet fees 6,800 TEL. So yeah, looking pretty healthy. 8% of rewards have been missed, but it sounds like that's reducing as well as more people are staking, so that's promising. And oh, there's even more here. Okay. Fees generated are not total fees collected from the TEL app. and some of them could be duplicated due to the distribution of rewards being based on your fees and your referral fees. These figures merely represent the total being used to calculate rewards. So 3.2 mil TEL distributed weekly by TAN IP1. This will be based on all developers on the Telcoin network. Telcoin is currently the only one, so earn while the earning is good. Yeah, so eventually when the Telcoin wallet is not the only app developer, other app developers will come along and they will be offering staking to their customers. So this will open up, and basically current stakers will be competing against a larger group of stakers, which will include other app developers' users. Question from Brosy quickly. Archie Oitzler asks, are we going to get an update on the network status? Is the code freeze still on schedule? Yeah, code freeze all still on schedule, and the platform council usually give a little update on Telcoin network. So that will be about this time next week. I think it's an hour earlier, but more or less this week. Yeah. Lovely. Yeah, Andrew has gone into a fair bit of detail with those, with that data, and has put some nice graphs up, which I feel it would be inefficient to discuss in here. But he has dropped the link in the chat, so get involved and have a look through those, and we can discuss those next time, or if anyone wants to, we can do so now. And if anyone else has any other questions, come on up or send them to Brosy if you're listening on X, or yeah, no bad questions. Any more for any more? Or happy to call it there.
Cool there.
Okay, sounds good. Lovely. Well, hopefully that's answered everyone's questions anyway. And as always, lovely discussing with you. So we will see you in 2 weeks' time. And yeah, keep discussing on the forum and get involved. And by the sounds of things, go and put some trades in through the app. Pretty lucrative at the moment. So yeah, thank you everyone, and bye.
All good. Thank you for your time. Good night.
Come on, you Telcoin.